What's up guys, John Rettinger here. I want to give you my thoughts on the iPhone 3GS. So first, as an Apple fan, when they announced the new iPhone, I couldn't help but have my woohoo moments. And then as they went along, I kept waiting for the big thing. Kept waiting for the front-facing camera, kept waiting for the OLED display, kept waiting for some new design or some killer feature that maybe I hadn't thought yet. And when it didn't come, and I'm sure a few of you were inevitably disappointed. And that kind of made me think, is that Apple's fault? You know, it's almost impossible for them to live up to the hype. They're one of those companies that really is a victim of their own success. No matter what Apple does, there's always going to be people that are disappointed with the results. If they put in a front-facing camera, it doesn't work well enough. If they put in an OLED display, it adds too much cost to the components. It's very hard for Apple to find a happy medium between features and hype, and they've been so successful in the past that really they have nowhere else to go but down a little bit, and very few times they live up to those expectations. So once I was able to get over where are all the cool features, and I started thinking about what the 3GS actually does, and I started to get a little more excited. So let's go over some of the comparisons here between the 3G and the 3GS. So first of all, it comes in 16 and 32 gigabyte configurations, which is quite nice if you're a big audiophile or you have a lot of videos or pictures or whatever. 32 gigs is definitely going to be a lot of space for you. I mean, the entry-level 16 gig model is quite nice. I have a 16 gig iPhone 3G. I never even came close to filling it up. So for me, a 16 gig would be plenty. You're getting 2 times the improved performance, which is just speed and processor-wise. So I started thinking about that a little bit more, and that doesn't mean just apps loading quicker. That means improved graphics. So when you're playing games now bought through the App Store, you're getting a lot of improved graphical performance. And from what I've seen in videos, you're getting quality which looks much better than even a Nintendo DSi. So you're getting really almost mobile console-like quality on a phone, which is very impressive. So that 2 times improved performance doesn't just mean app speed. So that was very nice. You're also getting a built-in video camera with editing, which is interesting. There have been a few times when I really would like to capture something. The ability to edit it and send it right up to YouTube or MobileMe or send it to a friend is very cool. It does take advantage of the iPhone's 3 megapixel autofocus camera, and the quality does look to be relatively decent. Certainly I'm going to reserve reservation until I see it, but it does look to be good enough. Although the video recording features are not coming to the current iPhone 3G, which is very disappointing. If you've jailbroken your iPhone, you've got access to having a video camera. The iPhone 3G can certainly handle recording video, although the megapixel sensor, I believe, is about 1.3. It doesn't look great, but definitely has the capability of doing it. So it is interesting that Apple didn't put that into the 3.0 software. But moving along, you're also getting voice control. And this was more of a necessity than anything else. People use their iPhones in the car, and whether you have a Bluetooth headset or a speaker hooked up, the only way to dial was to take your eyes off the road and look down at your phone. I'm sure there was a lot of pressure on Apple to institute this, and they finally put in voice control. What they did was not make the voice control just for phone calls. It can control your iTunes, it can make Genius playlists, you can dial numbers just by saying dial 7145555, whatever, and it will dial it for you. So they did institute some new features. But voice control is one of those things that phones from 5 or 6 years ago had, and Apple was definitely missing. So it definitely was nice to see that added to the cache of new features. The next thing they added was a compass, which there are probably about 3 of you out there that are excited about a compass. But it does have some interesting functionality. If you're using Google Maps, for example, and you're navigating with Google Maps, you know that you have to kind of turn the phone to see which direction that you're heading, so you can follow that little blue line. What the compass will do is that actually align itself for you. Or if you're using, let's say, Street View and you're at a cul-de-sac, as you move your phone around in your hand, the compass will know where you're lined at, and it'll move the picture for you. Not so cool. What I think it does have a lot of potential, though, is with the developers having access to it. There are APIs that are being released for the compass. So it can be actually put into games, which is kind of cool. Maybe you can move around, and the game will sense that. You know, the developers have really almost infinite creativity, so I'm very curious to see what they do. Some of the things that all the iPhones are going to be getting, so the 3G and the first gen that are coming with OS 3.0, you're going to get cut, copy, and paste, MMS, which I'll talk about in a minute, spotlight search, landscape keyboard, voice memos. So one thing I do want to bring up, at least if you're in the United States, is WTF AT&T. If you guys have watched my videos, you know that AT&T is my primary carrier. I test a lot of their phones and I use an iPhone 3G. But seriously, dudes, seriously, you're not ready to handle MMS at launch for the iPhone 3GS? That is ridiculous. This is back to that argument that I've had phones 4 or 5 years go back to MMS. AT&T, you can't handle it? Is it a network issue? What is it? Why can't users of probably one of the most powerful, smart feature phones out there send a picture or video message? The phone now has the capabilities. It's not Apple's fault anymore. And it's not like AT&T didn't have a heads up. OS 3.0 has been in beta for months. They knew MMS was coming, or even before that, I'm sure Apple gave them a friendly heads up. Steve Jobs calls up AT&T CEO, hey, MMS is coming, your network might want to support it. Really annoying. On the AT&T front, Apple also announced tethering capability via USB or Bluetooth, which is fantastic. The ability to share your internet connection legally is a great thing. And again, AT&T's not supporting this. What the heck, guys? How can you not support this? I'm sure you've had a heads up. There are Windows mobile phones, Symbian, even BlackBerry that you can tether with. Why can't you tether with the iPhone? Did you not have enough heads up? Can your network not support it? What is it? I think that we actually deserve some sort of answer from AT&T, but why these features are not included out of the box. If Apple is an American company, the phone was developed, and a lot of research was done in America on the US carrier, it should have it. To the rest of you in the world that are getting these capabilities, congratulations, your carrier is certainly ahead of the ball as opposed to what we have. It is very, very, very disappointing that AT&T was behind this. Although, I'm sure a few months from now, once we have tethering and once we have MMS, it won't matter as much, but at least right now, it really is quite infuriating. Another thing that's upsetting, and I'm not sure if this is an Apple or an AT&T thing, is the price points. If you want to get an iPhone 3GS, and if you're a current 3G owner, meaning you used your upgrade to get a 3G about a year or so ago, you don't qualify for the upgrade price. So if you want a 16 gig black or white 3GS, you're going to have to pay $399. And if you want a 32 gig black or white 3GS, you're going to have to pay $499. Now, at first I was really upset about this because what Apple did between the Generation 1 and the 3G, they gave everybody who had a Gen 1 essentially an early upgrade. And as a consumer, I can understand the outrage. Apple set a precedent, now they're changing the precedent. When the iPhone first generation was released, it was sold unsubsidized at a ridiculous price. I believe it was $499 that it came out at. They changed that with the 3G and they subsidized it and they gave everybody an upgrade. With the 3GS, they went back to the old way and now you have to pay essentially a full retail price. Now, if this was any other phone, let's say 6 months ago you upgraded your phone from AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, whatever your carrier is, and now that 6 months later you decide you want a new phone, you walk into the store, they're not going to give you an upgrade. At the end of the day, the iPhone is just a phone, and I suppose you can't expect a carrier to take such a big hit when they just gave you a discount on a phone. When you sign a new contract, you're getting that lower price because your carrier is actually paying a portion of that phone for you in anticipation of the revenue they're going to gain through the life of your contract. If they, again, 6 months, a year and a half later, whatever it is, take another hit to give you a device, they're losing out on a significant amount of money. From a business standpoint, I understand the move. I understand why Apple or AT&T, whoever made that decision, decided to not offer upgrades to 3G owners. I get it, I can respect it. People are going to go to the iPhone just because it's an iPhone. People are going to switch carriers. People are going to pay the more expensive price because it's an iPhone, and you get a lot with that. However, as a consumer, ridiculous. You set a precedent, you should stick with it. $500 for a phone that you're not getting unlocked, that doesn't have MMS capabilities out of the box, that can't tether. You're almost getting a cut phone for $500 or $400 depending on which model you get. So again, from a business standpoint, I understand it. From a consumer standpoint, totally pissed. So just want to give you guys my impressions on the 3GS, and the last thing that I want to talk about is design. Apple's known for revolutionary designs. They've done it with the unibody MacBooks, the aluminum iMacs, and even the Mac Pros to some extent. I was hoping for some sort of redesign of the iPhone 3GS. Didn't have to be anything major, just maybe a matte finish, just so you knew it was a little bit different than the 3G. Something subtle, putting a 3GS logo on it. Anything, didn't have to be a radical redesign, didn't have to change the functions or form of the phone that much. Something a little bit different. The 3GS and the 3G look identical. It would have been another opportunity for Apple to sell accessories as well if they changed the design. Even just a little bit. Think of all the cases that are sold at the Apple stores. I think they lost out on a significant stream of revenue by not changing it. Plus, it's nice to look at a 3G and a 3GS in your hand side by side and know that this is a new version, be able to see something different. It's exactly the same width, thickness, it just looks the same, and it's a little bit boring. And for those that have had an iPhone 1st gen and an iPhone 3G and are going to get an iPhone 3GS, while the operating system is quite elegant and very powerful, you may be a little bit bored with the looks of the phone and the feel of the operating system. And you're getting almost exactly that same thing, albeit a little bit faster with a few new features with the 3GS. I would like something a little bit different, some sort of revamp. I know this is a pie-in-the-sky thought, but even possibly multitasking. Something to make it feel fresh. The UI, again, while very powerful and revolutionary at the time, is becoming a little bit stale. So I would have liked to have seen something done there. Just want to give you guys my opinions on the 3GS. Maybe you agree, disagree, you completely hate what I said, or you love it. Leave your comments down below. I'm really curious to know what you guys think. So that being said, everything put aside, all my rants and thoughts about the 3GS, I will tell you that I did pre-order one. I pre-ordered a white, just so I could tell the difference between the 3G and the 3GS, because I've got the black model 3G. I had an upgrade on my account. I was able to use an upgrade to get it, but had the phone been $499, I would have been very hard-pressed to justify that much money over a 3G. At the end of the day, whether the features I went over are worth it for you, it's going to be a personal decision. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. For exclusive content, be sure to follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/John4Lakers. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.